Okay, we'll start now. So today, actually, in this special class, what we are going to do is we will take one subtopic actually from Western philosophy, that is logical atomism, and we'll try to see what is that and what are its critical evaluation and other aspects. So, as I keep on telling, before starting a topic, let us see what is mentioned in this syllabus and what are the previous year's questions pertaining to that topic. So, if we see once and then if we proceed, then we can perhaps understand it better, and our study also will be focused in that sense. So, now this is the syllabus of paper 1. If you see, now in this, the uh, topic number 6, Moore, Russell, and early Wittgenstein. In this, there is defense of common sense, refutation of idealism, logical atomism, logical constructions, and so on. So basically, this topic concerns with three philosophers: Moore, Russell, and early Wittgenstein. Wittgenstein has two phases basically. In early phase, he said something, and then in later phase, he changed his views, and accordingly, there are two topics. If you see, 6th and 8th also is later Wittgenstein. So now here we will be covering today logical atomism. Now this concerns basically with two philosophers. One is Russell and another is Wittgenstein himself, early Wittgenstein. So these two philosophers have contributed in uh, theory of logical atomism. Now let us see what are the questions which have been asked in this. Then accordingly we can uh, discuss. Now this is the topic. In this, if you see, for example, sixth question, it is concerned with logical atomism only. I met a man, how this statement is semantically problematic to Russell. And then how does he account for meaningfulness of this statement? Then present king of France is barred. How this is a problematic statement for obviously Russell. Then uh, if you see uh, why does Wittgenstein disagree with Watt and Russell interpretation of atomism in his philosophy of Tractus? Tractus is basically book of Wittgenstein, so early phases he wrote. So and then Moore is there. Then Russell incomplete symbols is there. Yes. What do you understand by incomplete symbol? What role do they play in Russell's theory of meaning? How this notion leads to doctrine of logical atomism? So two times it has been asked. Then again, uh, Russell's method of logical analysis, or what is Russell's logical atomism, bring out this connection to the conception of metaphysics involved in it. So basically, if I can tell, the theories of these philosophers, I mean, Russell has given theory of description or theory of uh, logical atomism, or even theory of meaning. So all are interrelated. So if we understand one, we can understand all others. So topics of this, I mean, uh, if I can tell, what are the important topics as far as uh, this Russell is concerned? So Russell's is, logical atomism is anyway important topic, so that we will be studying. As far as Wittgenstein is concerned, later Wittgenstein anyway he changed his. He came out with use theory of meaning, and instead of picture theory of meaning, he came out with use theory. So in my analysis, I have written some 5-6 topics from Wittgenstein, which is quite important. and it includes early and later part, his later part also. So, but today we will be discussing logical atomism. And if you remember yesterday, we discussed logical positivism. In fact, in sequence, logical atomism or Wittgenstein's, early Wittgenstein's come before logical positivism. And subsequently, after logical positivism will be later Wittgenstein. So this is the sequence basically. So why I'm telling, because if you interconnect with the sequences, that will be quite interesting to understand also, because the later philosophers' theory is based either in on previous philosophers, either they have criticized it and they have reformed it, or they have taken some ideas from that and then they have based their theories. So I mean, that's what has happened. Now let us try to understand logical atomism now. See, as I told, this theory is basically uh, first developed by Russell himself and then further refined by Wittgenstein. So these are the two philosophers who are concerned with this theory of logical atomism. And why this theory came up, basically, as you might have seen in this topic itself. Uh, I mean, basically, some 2, 3 indicators are there wherein it is clear that it was a basically reaction to, you can say, idealism, Hegel's idealism, and in a way, Hegel's impact on British idealism, basically. So this theory of logical atomism was a reaction to British idealism, which was developed by Bradley, McGard, etc. Uh, I mean, as a follower of Hegel. So this philosophy of this logical atomism was grounded basically against idealism. So therefore, it was grounded in empiricism, realism, and formal logic, which was against the British idealism theory. Now, what is the main important substance or central claim of logical atomism? They say that word consists of discrete independent atomic facts, and the language mirrors this structure through atomic propositions. So basically, there are two things: one, atomic facts; another, atomic propositions, and both are interconnected. One reflects the other. So this is basically their theory. So the word consists of discrete independent atomic facts, and language mirrors this structure through atomic propositions. So one is atomic propositions, another is atomic facts. So basically, the task of philosophy is analyzing propositions to uncover the logical structure of reality. So this is what is the basic principle in simple terms of logical atomism. Now, I mean, as in the introduction, first para, I have told. Now, same thing has been basically explained in little detail. What is the context and what motivated? Why did this theory arrived? So, why it emerged at all? So, below are the points pertaining to this. As I told, there was a dissatisfaction with idealism. Idealism was vague and influenced by. Then Russell was also influenced by Moore, G. Moore, surrealism. And then another influence was this French logical innovations, particularly with symbolism and language. Then Whitehead is another philosopher who influenced Russell, and actually he co-authored the book also along with Russell. This book is called Principia Mathematica, where mathematics was shown to be reducible to logical axioms. So this book itself is Principia Mathematica. So basically, these are the main, you can say, reasons because of which this logical atomism was enunciated or propounded by Russell. So first we will see what Russell said and what was the Russell's idea, and then later on we'll see what was the Wittgenstein idea as far as the logical atomism is concerned. And then we will try to see what is its critical evaluation, and then we will close this chapter. So in this logical atomism thing, basically, it was an attempt to extend mathematics and logic, that is mathematical logic, to epistemology and metaphysics. So that is the main aim. So basically, they were mathematicians or scientists, you can say, and they tried to extend mathematics and logic, particularly the linguistic logic, in you can philosophy, that is metaphysics and epistemology. Now, what are main features of logical atomism? Let us try to understand that. As was already told, the basic thing, this word consists of atomic facts. So this is the first important principle. And it is unlike idealism, because it was a reaction to idealism. Because idealism treats the reality as an interconnected whole, absolute of Hegel, you know. So this is against that. So, I mean, instead of interconnected whole, the word is consisting of atomic facts, independent atomic facts. An atomic fact is the simplest possible state of affairs and consists of. So again, atomic facts are consist of two things. One, particular, another universal. Particular is if some name is there, or some individual is there, or some item is there, that is particular. Universal is if it is some quality or some characteristics, so that will become universal. So, for example, Socrates is particular and wisdom is universal. So, if it is said that Socrates is wise, so this is an atomic fact for Russell. Now, these facts are ontologically independent and do not imply each other. So, basically, all facts, all atomic facts are independent of each other. That's what Russell told. Now, what is atomic proposition? Let us try to understand that and how they reflect the atomic facts. Now, to each atomic fact corresponds an atomic proposition. So, one is atomic fact, and it is represented by atomic proposition. So, this is basically isomorphism also. A simple statement that what is atomic proposition? Atomic proposition is a simple statement that asserts an atomic fact. And this also forms correspondence theory of truth. Correspondence theory of truth means that truth should correspond to reality. So there is atomic fact, which is truth, and atomic proposition corresponds to atomic fact, and therefore it also reflects correspondence theory of truth. So now there is a logical isomorphism between atomic propositions and atomic facts. Just as a map reflects a terrain, language reflects the structure of this world. So that was their basic theory. Basically, they tried to understand the whole philosophy. I mean, this chapter as well as logical positivists also, through language, analysis of language. I mean, that was their main basis or main impact or main objective, that to understand the metaphysics and epistemology or philosophical issues through analysis of or logical analysis of language. Now, there is another point just to understand that in propositions, atomic propositions, there are complex propositions can also be made, because one is atomic proposition, another is complex proposition. So if two or more atomic propositions join each other, that will become complex proposition. Now, what is complex proposition? Let's try to understand that and how they are formed. As I told, two or three atomic propositions joined together, and then complex propositions are formed. And how it can be joined? For example, and. So there are several connectives, logical connectives. For example, and is there, or is there, not is there, if then is there. For example, let us say, some example, or X is rich and wise. So here this will become a complex proposition, because now two qualities I'm adding or being added to two atomic facts are being added here. Similarly, or not, or if then, all these are connectors basically. So these are truth functional operators, meaning the truth of complex proposition depends entirely on the truth of their kind. The truth of these complex propositions will depend on truth of the atomic propositions. So if two atomic propositions are true, the complex proposition formed out of that will also be true. So that's what the understanding is. Now, another is quality or characteristics, logical independence. It has also been said earlier that all atomic propositions are logically independent. They don't depend on each other. The truth or falsity of one has no logical bearing on truth or falsity of another. So this is again another important point. For example, Socrates is wise is independent of sky is blue. So I mean, this is the meaning of logical independence of these atomic propositions. Now, what is the epistemic foundation? Epistemic means basically knowledge-based foundation of this whole argument. So let us try to understand that. The foundation of this is sense data. So because Russell has drawn heavily from Locke, Berkeley, and Hume, empiricism, because this is an empirical theory against idealism. So it draws heavily from sense data. So therefore, logical atomism is grounded in empiricism. So all knowledge originates from sense data, that is immediate sensory experiences. These data are known through knowledge by acquaintance. So this provided a non-metaphysical observational starting point for logical analysis. So sense data is the basic of this whole epistemic theory of logical atomism. Now, another point is related point is knowledge by acquaintance and knowledge by description. Now, Russell has distinguished between these two again in his book called Problems of Philosophy. Knowledge by acquaintance is direct awareness through sense data. That is whatever you see through senses. Knowledge by description is indirect reference. So these are two again differentiations between atomic propositions. Now this distinction is again a language-based distinction basically. This is what Russell's theory is. Now in this atomic logical atomism, as I told, there was another philosopher, Wittgenstein. So now let us see what is his contribution, because in early phases Wittgenstein also supported this theory, and logical positivism also was based on his philosophy in a good sense. But subsequently, if you later stages, he changed. He changed the his own ideas, and accordingly he became a critique of logical positivism also. So what is his contribution as far as the logical atomism is concerned? And this he has written in the book Tractus Logico-Philosophicus. So this is again a book of Wittgenstein in early phases. Now his key contributions, let's try to understand, because he came out with a stricter version of logical atomism, focusing on logical syntax and semantics. So basically, again, this is a language game only they are playing, because they are logical analysis of language. That's what is in these two chapters basically. And these key contributions of Wittgenstein are: the word is the totality of facts, not things. So this is first conclusion he draw. That is, reality consists not of objects alone, but of facts in logical form. Then he advocated picture theory of meaning, which is again given in the syllabus also. You can read this also in detail, because this is one of the important theories of Wittgenstein in early phases. Subsequently, he modified it to use theory of meaning. So in picture theory of meaning, propositions are logical pictures of states of affairs. So this is what is the picture theory of meaning. If atomic facts are there, and atomic propositions will become picture of that. So whether it is complex propositions or atomic propositions, they are logical pictures of the state of affairs existing in this world. So just as a blueprint models of a building, language models the reality. That was the main emphasis of these guys, that language models the reality. Now, they again told another point that limits of language is equal to limits of the word. So what are the limits of outer limits of language or outer limits of word as well? Only propositions that can be logically pictured are meaningful. That's what is the statement of the Wittgenstein in early phases. Now influenced by Schopenhauer and Kant, Wittgenstein claimed that ethics, aesthetics, and metaphysics lie outside the bounds of meaningful language. They must be shown, not said. You may remember this. Kant has given the theory of phenomena and noumena. So, I mean, for Kant, metaphysics, aesthetics, etc., all lie in noumena and beyond the reach of human being. So, same thing he is Wittgenstein also came out with. Now, what is the philosophical significance of this theory? Now, let us try to understand that. Now, this theory marked a foundational shift in philosophy because this came just after the idealism. You can understand the scenario at that point of time. So, this is basically common sense realism. So, logical atomism marked a foundational shift in philosophy, replaced speculative metaphysics. Speculative metaphysics is the idealism, basically, was given by idealism. With linguistic and logical clarity, it laid the groundwork for logical positivism, because on this basis, the next philosophers, Carnap, Ayer, and Schlick, which we saw yesterday. So in sequence, if you study, so logical atomism is basically basis of logical positivism, and particularly the Wittgenstein's theory, that is picture theory of meaning. So it becomes laid the groundwork for logical positivism and also analytic philosophy. Not only this, but analytic philosophy of Moore, Ryle, and Strawson. It also provided groundwork for that. And it advanced the tools like truth tables, formal logic, semantic analysis, all are linguistic tools, if you can understand. So it initiated the linguistic term, making language not reality per se as the central concern of philosophy. So basically here the language was made important and linguistic analysis was made important. Now, let us try to understand what are the various criticisms. Obviously, this kind of theory will be criticized very, very heavily in philosophy. The contemporary philosopher Strawson, he gave the theory that context matters. He argued that natural language is contextual. It's not a picture theory of meaning. The language does not mirrors what is reality. It's in many, I mean, it's contextual, it's pragmatic, and it's presupposition dependent, and cannot always be reduced to atomic facts. So this is his theory. He emphasized referential context and speaker intention also. In what intention the speaker is speaking, with what context he is speaking. So all these things define the meaning. And it's not simply atomic facts and atomic propositions. So this is the theory of Strawson, and he says that Russell and Wittgenstein is overlooking this, basically. Then another philosopher, Quine, he rejected atomism and analyticity. And he said that basically he rejected that there is a distinction between analytic and synthetic statements. Yesterday we saw analytic and synthetic, analytic a priori, synthetic a posteriori. So he rejected this kind of distinction. And also he rejected the idea of meaningful propositions as logically isolated units. So these two rejections were from Quine. He proposed that epistemology is something whole. It cannot be part or atomic. And beliefs form a web. So this was his theory. Epistemological holism and in the form of a web, where any part is revisable in light of new evidence, and it is not atomic. Now, later Wittgenstein himself, because why it is referred here, because he himself changed basically out after all these criticisms. He came out with the change that use theory of meaning. So earlier he was having picture theory of meaning, picture theory, And then subsequently he came up with use theory. And use theory in a way supports this, if you can see, contextual, pragmatic, and also intention of the speaker. All these things come out with use theory. So, I mean, that's what mentioned here, that meaning arises from use in language games, not from logical form. Language is a part of forms of life. And this view was again inspired by ordinary language philosophy of Austin and Ryle. Then another criticism, important criticism, is limitation in ethical and aesthetic discourse, because they rejected altogether. Wittgenstein also rejected that these statements are emotive statements. Yesterday we saw. The similar point is here. So logical atomism cannot account for normative languages, ethics, aesthetics, religion, etc., which cannot be verified or reduced to atomic facts. Philosophers like Whitehead, Charles Taylor, and Murdoch emphasize this existential dimension that atomism ignores. So this is again because it is ignored by logical atomism. Therefore, again, this is criticized, because these are very, very important. Aesthetics or ethics is very, very important part of life also, and philosophy also, and word also. So, I mean, these things they declare basically meaningless. As you study a cognitive statement, emotive statement. So meaningless, therefore, they have been criticized. Now, what are his strengths? Now, let us try to have some balanced kind of evaluation. Now, definitely, this logical atomism introduced rigorous methods of philosophical analysis, particularly linguistic analysis, logical linguistic analysis of philosophy. It bridged the empiricism and logic in a novel way, then gave birth to modern analytic philosophy. So these are its strengths. Weaknesses, it overemphasizes formal structure at the cost of linguistic nuance. It overemphasizes basically language, which is not, you cannot explain whole philosophy through language analysis only. I mean, that's what the point. Then it cannot handle ambiguity, emotion, or normativity. Normativity is again ethical, this thing. It ultimately abandoned. It was abandoned by both Russell and Wittgenstein at later stages. So, in conclusion, what we can say is it was a landmark. Obviously, it revolutionized the whole thinking. At least we start thinking in a very, very scientific and logical terms, and also analyzing language into logically independent atomic propositions. It sought to reflect the structure of reality itself, though its limitations, as we have seen, are numerous. Its true legacy lies in method, not doctrine. So this is again important, very important conclusion. In fact, you can use also in your answers if you write. Its true legacy lies in method, not in doctrine. And what Bertrand Russell has said, the essence of philosophy lies in logical analysis. So this is basically logical analysis rather than, and it's methodical. Its method is important rather than the theory or the doctrine which it advocates. So particularly its metaphysics and epistemology may not be very relevant, but method is definitely relevant. It remains a cornerstone in analytic tradition, symbolizing the enduring quest of clarity, precision, and so this we conclude here. So now this is the logical atomism as requested by Chaitanya and Siddharth. Now, if you have to say anything, otherwise we'll close.
So symbols and incomplete symbols. So that's a part of logical atomism, ना?
यार वो हाँ पार्ट नहीं, वो तो इंटरकनेक्टेड ही है, बिकॉज सी द in fact if you see, there are 3-4 topics which are interconnected. For example, one is theory of logical constructions, then another is theory of description, then another is theory of meaning of Russell also. So but I have taken logical atomism because अब वही है ना कि फिर then it will be because theory of description is also there, theory of incomplete meaning, and theory of meaning, yes, their incomplete meaning will come, and then theory of logical construction is there. Those 3 other theories of Russell is there. So maybe if you are interested, I will cover sometime later because these theory. But I think logical atomism is that way. All 3-4 theories of a philosopher are related in a way to each other. So maybe I can cover sometime later if you are interested.
Okay,
Or
sir.
you can
Okay,
read
sir.
yourself, and if you find that I should take up, then you can message me. Maybe I will take up later on.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, so anything else? Otherwise, I will close. Okay, thank you everybody for participating. Thank you.